Yo, what is up, everybody? It's Arbitrary to the Week, and I wanted to talk about spirits, particularly the terrible idea that dual element spirits are an awesome idea and they should be in Elestrals. Thematically, yes, I agree. Thematically, a dual element spirit would be really cool. Mechanically, dual element spirits would inherently break Elestrals, no exaggeration. It would destroy deck building, deck uniqueness, everything would just go up puff of smoke. And I'm not exaggerating here. So, to go into why that would be, let's start with the baseline of what dual element spirits could be. We're going to be a baseline because we could add limitations at the end and talk about what might make them less bleh. But the baseline is it would likely be 3 copies a deck because our main deck is limited to 3 copies. These are special cards, special spirit, perhaps. Limit them to 3 copies like your main deck. And they would act as both a Spirit A and Spirit B at the same time, so they would be both Vipyro and Tyralis at the same time, perhaps, let's say. So they function as both elements, and you can have a maximum of 3 of each in your Spirit deck. That's the baseline. Is that how it would ever happen? I really hope not. But that's the baseline, that's what we're talking about to start. Now, you might not see how that breaks the game full throttle, so let's go into an example real fast. I'm playing a Fire deck. I'm playing a Fire deck, so I'm mostly putting Vipyro into my Spirit deck. If I'm adding spirits to my Spirit deck, I go, alright, let's put in 3 spirits that are Fire Water, Fire Earth, Fire Wind, Fire Thunder, Fire Solar, Fire Lunar, Fire Frost. Oh look, I have 21 Fire Spirits access to my Fire deck, while also not putting a single Vipyro in my Fire deck. I have access to every single element in the game in my Fire deck with no hits to my Fire resources, or any other resources for that matter. So let's say Elestral sticks to kind of where meta is roughly 3 elements in a deck. I have, let's say, 10 Vipyro, and then I want to splash Thunder and Water for Elecheck and Tsunami. Well, I could put in 3 Fire Water to cover my Tsunamis. I could put in 3 Fire Thunder to cover my Tsunamis. Now that's 16 spirits total in the deck. I still have space for 4 more, and I covered all of my hybrid costs. Alright, let's go put in 3 Fire Earth for a Tyralis Splash and a Tyralis for the extra Earthquake. All of a sudden, I have access to 19 Fire in my Fire deck, as well as access to every other element I might need. Maybe I cut 1 more Vipyro out of there to put in a Earth Lightning, or Earth Thunder, Earth Water, or a Water Thunder to make sure I have additional spirits for my other splash cards. That makes deck building a joke. Spirit deck building is difficult and highly kind of impactful in your gameplay, and makes figuring out what you're expending when really impactful. Putting in all these dual element spirits would inherently break that core gameplay loop of Elestrals of going, all of my spirits matter. What do I expend? What do I cast now? What do I need later to play my other cards? That's problematic. You are fundamentally destroying core gameplay loops of the game to put that into Elestrals. Now, that's the baseline. Baseline is super destructive to basically deck building and gameplay. And that's why. Short end of it. I don't want to go too long into it, but it is destructive. Alright, so now let's put a bunch of limitations on it. What kind of limitations can we do to make that doesn't happen? Limit the amount of hybrid element spirits you put into the deck to like 2 or 3. I still run into the problem of, okay, I have 13 Vipyro, 3 of which are water, making my Tsunamis a 0 deck building restriction include, and still splashing my other elements as normal. Okay, that's still problematic, so that probably doesn't work. Reduces your total spirit deck size. Well, now at the beginning of the game, do you have to go and show your opponents or your judges, like, hey, I have 17 spirits in my spirit deck to start the game. Now my opponent also knows that I have hybrid spirits in my deck. But now we have this fundamental situation where I have 17 spirits in my opponent's 20, and that messes the start of the game and the game rules board state aggressively. So I don't think reducing your spirit deck size to add in hybrids is relevant. Okay, what's up next? Then you have, okay, maybe if you have a limitation of you can only have 2 elements in your deck when you run these hybrid spirits, where if you're running a Fire Frost deck, you can only have Fire Frost hybrid spirits. That's a little bit more reasonable. In my opinion, it's probably one of the better ways to do it. You limit yourself to 2 elements so you can play these 3 hybrids. But at that point, I think you would rather just play a 3rd element and splash the colors that you need, and that would be maybe too weak. Maybe you have to expend to cast them from your deck. That's not a terrible restriction, but at the same time, if you end up left with the hybrid spirits at the end of the game, burning Shuffle 1 to play the spirits is not fun and intuitive. I don't think the dual element spirits could work for Elestral. I really just think it's too restrictive and too difficult. Now, I do think that there could be cards in your main deck that make spirits on the board act as multiple elements, like Majesty in the past. The Majesty prototype used to make all spirits on your field also water in addition to the other types. That would be interesting because there's a gameplay mechanic that's happening from your cards and not just inherently in your deck. That would be interesting. But I don't want to keep this too long. I just, dual element spirits would break the game fundamentally. It would be so cool thematically to see them, but I just want to say, please stop just saying other games have this, we should totally have it. It's fundamentally different in Elestrals with the Spirit deck. It truly, really is fundamentally different. It's a really cool idea. It's not going to happen for a long time, and when it does happen, it's going to be so restrictive that I would rather dual element spirits be terrible to use but exist than just exist and people want to play them, because it's just such a difficult nightmare of balancing. Deck construction would change drastically. The gameplay loop of expending and knowing what to expend when drastically changes. It's just not a good idea. That's the end of this video today, a short one. See you guys in the next video when we'll likely play Frostfall. Have a good one.